In the words of Jawaharlal Nehru, democracy is good. I say this because other systems are worse. Today we are here to continue with chapter number 4, that is the external relations of India, from the second book, Politics in India Since Independence. Children, if you remember, in the previous introductory video, I had discussed that India had already entered into the world politics, and though we are right now not concerned with the world politics, but we need to remember that India adopted a neutral way of life. It did not join the two camps that the world was divided into. If you remember, I told you that by now, after the Second World War, that is in the post-Second World War phase, the world had got divided into two camps, US and USSR. So I'll be reading a slide in front of you and we'll be understanding the text. The foreign policy of independent India vigorously pursued the dream of a peaceful world by advocating the policy of non-alignment. As I told you that under the leadership of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, it was decided that since it is a democracy, and that is why in order to have people say, we won't be joining any of the camps, and that is why through the policy of non-alignment, India chose to be a neutral power. It reduced the Cold War tensions. We'll be studying Cold War, its effects, its reasons, and the division of the two blocks in detail in the other book that I'll be starting probably after the vacations. Now, by reducing the Cold War tensions and by contributing to the human resources to the UN peacekeeping operations, if you remember, it was an essential ingredient that if you want to maintain a global market, if you want to maintain friendly relations with the neighborhood, then it was essential to maintain peace internally and externally. Coming on to the next point. Moving on to the previous slide, India did not join either of the two camps during the Cold War era. India wanted to keep away from the military alliances led by US and Soviet Union against each other. India advocated non-alignment as the ideal foreign policy. That is, it was one of the ideal objectives of the foreign policy that India was to take. This was a difficult balancing act, and sometimes the balance did not appear. Why? Because if you remember, the critics and many of the parties, even like the Bharatiya Jan Sangh, which was a very strong opposition party that time, held a view that India must take friendly advices from one of the camps and it must maintain a friendly relation and vice versa. Moving on to our next slide. India did not take an independent stand on various international issues and could get aid and assistance from members of both the blocs. Though it was neutral, though it did not join any of the camps, but it was free to take any of the advices, and because of its neutrality, it was able to provide aid to these countries also at the time of emergency. While India was trying to convince other developing countries to free themselves from the colonial rule and also to adopt the policy of non-alignment, Pakistan joined the US-led military alliances. So India's role at that time was quite ambitious. On one side, it was trying to, ask other countries under the colonial rule to free themselves from the colonial powers, and at the same time, it was also trying to maintain the policy of non-alignment. So basically, we'll come to this term particularly afterwards, but right now, because we are making a mention of it, that is why I'm telling you, India, along with those countries which had fought against the colonial powers and had freed themselves and they did not join any of the blocs. They came to be known as the third world countries. US was not happy about India's independent initiatives and the policy of non-alignment. Of course, why? Because it was a developed country. It wanted India to join its side and never wanted it to be a neutral power. Therefore, there was a considerable unease in the Indo-US relations initially, I'm not talking about the world politics right now. Why? Because whatever was the history till now has taken a vast change in the couple of the months. You must have analyzed it yourselves. So we are talking about the initial years when the Cold War had you can say just started, and there was a lot of tension between the two blocs at that time. Of course, America was not happy with this non-alignment policy of India. The emphasis on developing a resource base also meant that the export-oriented growth was limited. Of course, it is a common fact that if you share a friendly business relation with some country, then automatically your export increases. Whereas if you have bitter relations with a neighboring country, then the trade is influenced, and rather adversely, that is negatively influenced. This development strategy limited the India's economic interaction with the outside world, because at that time US was a developed country, as it is now one of the developed countries, and it was a superpower. So of course, when US was against India's you can say non-alignment policy and it remaining a neutral power, it did affect the foreign policy of India. Moving on to our next slide, Afro-Asian unity. Nehru era was marked by the establishment of contacts between India and the newly independent states in Asia and Africa. As I told you that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had a very you can say visionary phenomena in his personality. He was a person who was not only a statesman or maybe a writer or maybe a revolutionary, but he would touch the hearts of the people by his speech. And that is why he was able to communicate well, and because he was a good orator, so his words had a charisma of their own. Throughout 1940s and 50s, Nehru had been an ardent, that is a very you can say the word ardent would mean a strict follower. For example, I can say that I am a or maybe Mr. X is an ardent Hindu. So ardent would mean very strict to the norms of Hinduism. So he was an ardent advocate of Asian unity. Under his leadership, India convened the Asian Relation Conference in March 1947. So points like this are very important for even the one markers 5 months ahead of attaining its independence. Coming on to the last point of the same slide, India was a staunch supporter of decolonialism process and firmly opposed racism, especially apartheid in South Africa. I think it is very commonly known that Mahatma Gandhi was one of the you can say founder of those like ill practices. He was totally against the ill practices going on in South Africa based on racism. So India was a firm supporter of the social backwardness of the people based on caste, religion, region and maybe language. Going on to our next slide. The Afro-Asian Conference held in Indonesian city of Bandung in 1955, commonly known as the Bandung Conference, and the Bandung Conference later led to the establishment of NAM. The first summit of NAM was held in Belgrade in September 1961 and Nehru was its co-founder. Moving on to the next slide. Peace and conflict with China. So because in this chapter we will be dealing with different neighboring countries like China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc. So today we will be having a brief study of what is there in this slide. I will be reading out the points in front of you, and in the next video we will be continuing with the same topic, that is Indo-China relations. So right now I am just reading the points in front of you because I know many of you are not able to fetch the NCERT textbooks, and you know many of you do not have the stationery. So a big you can say appreciation for you because you are supporting the teachers, and that is why I have taken this you can say the NCERT part just for you so that you can have a knowledge what your book contains. Unlike its relationship with Pakistan, Free India began its relationship with China on a very friendly note. I hope that this particular point is not disheartening at this time. Nehru felt strongly for this neighbor that was coming out of the shadow of Western domination and helped the new government in international fora. Some of his colleagues like Vallabhbhai Patel were worried about the possible Chinese aggression in future. Nehru thought that it was exceedingly unlikely that India will face an attack from China. For a very long time, the Chinese border was guarded by the paramilitary forces and not the army. Moving on to our next slide. The joint emancipation of Panchsheel, the 5 principles of a peaceful coexistence by the Indian Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and the Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai on 29th April 1954 was a step in the direction of a stronger relationship between the two countries. India and Chinese leaders visited each other's country and were greeted by large and friendly crowds. This was in a nutshell about the Indo-China relation. But in the upcoming video, I'll be dealing in, you can say at length, about the relations of India with its neighboring country China. Why? Because the relations though were started on a friendly note but did not came out very well, and it was a mixed bag of good and bad days. Till then, stay safe, stay tuned.